fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play it against sports at 48th and Vine.
Salt Mine City is now open at 8th and R in the Haymarket. Come check out Lincoln's newest brewery with 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager, Brick Street Amber Wheat, and so many more. There's daily drink specials like $1 off Moscow Mules on Tuesdays, $6 IPAs on Fridays, and $6 Bloody Marys on Saturdays. Stop by Tuesday through Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11 p.m., Saturdays 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. It's Salt Mine City, Lincoln's newest brewery at 8th and R. When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Bryant at 402-467-1111 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-1111.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NEBCO. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Oh, welcome in. Happy Friday to you and yours. We are at the end of another long but successful week. I'm Austin. He's Strick. Glad you're along for the ride during On the Block, brought to you by NEBCO. Stricky, you've been in Lincoln for like 36 straight hours, it feels like, my brother.
Yeah, man, it was a long day on yesterday with WTF at 6 to 7. Our show came down and for Global Open Wound Care and met with some clients, gave them a few gifts for the new year.
Did you miss Christmas?
Doing business. Well, I was gone.
Right.
So, just you allow you one of the things I believe in, I think you allow people to get back, get settled. People have started their New Year's resolutions. They're doing a little bit more. They're getting reacclimated to not only the new year, whether it be fiscally or whatever implementations they're doing with their business. It's the first quarter. It's a lot of stuff. And so I didn't ever want to just jump right in the first week of it's just a lot of stuff on people's plates. So I just waited a couple of weeks and dropped them off some nice Global Open Wound cups.
Nice.
And then, so I literally was down here, Austin, from right around 11-ish. Finished the game. We got finished at almost just before 12?
11.
Oh, about 11? Yeah. I was tired. Then got up. I got a chance to hang out a little bit with Raph and the drive, as well as the captain, and talk a little bit of basketball. Yeah, well,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know you are. I know it's a joke, but
am I?
Not really. But it was good, because sometimes it's good to have those cross conversations, and they wanted just a good basketball perspective on what we talk about regularly here on the block. And so, yeah, it was good.
And we're going to do that again here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank NEBCO for their sponsorship of the show. NEBCO is a fourth-generation family-owned and operated company, a business that is supplying the state of Nebraska's construction industry with materials needed to construct buildings, streets, and highways. They've been doing it since 1908. Again, fourth-gen, family-owned and operated business, 1,200 employees in 26 different companies throughout Nebraska. Check them out online at nebcoinc.com. 402-464-5685. If you have any thoughts on Husker basketball, we'll talk about the men this segment. We'll talk about the women, their first win in Iowa City since 2018 in the next segment. Cupsker's going to kick us off here on the text line, Strick. He says, "What's up, gentlemen? Free throws let Nebraska down again last night. I had hoped they would have proved me wrong from my bad vibe I had, but no such luck, sadly. 85-82 Rutgers beats Nebraska. We've had, what would that be? About 13 hours, 15 hours to chew on the loss for Nebraska against Rutgers, third straight L in conference play for Nebraska. Anything new pop into your mind about how this game went down last night?
No. Inconsistency.
Which Fred Hoiberg really hit on last night.
Inconsistency. And that's really what it boils down to. If you're a team that's not elite teams at different levels, the lower the level, the more elite the team is, the more dominant they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can have a couple of elite players and do well.
Mm-hmm.
You can, as you move up level, the same thing. The more elite, as far as in areas of athleticism or skill set or abilities, the more of that in the variation, it won't win you a championship. I.e., you just look at Kentucky and look at the likes of them, right? You still need a good balance of some form of elite with some form of a useful skill set,
mm-hmm.
like having a JJ Redick type. Not necessarily, JJ Redick's good in his own right. I'm just saying someone that specializes in something. Good handler like a Nimhard, which had given Creighton some good success, or
well,
guys
now
like
Gonzaga
that.
Some good success,
huh?
And now Gonzaga some good success.
Well, yeah, I mean he's there.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like that, leaders, guys like Mateen Cleaves. Not necessarily like you go back to Michigan State old school. Not necessarily
crazy,
super elite in any specific thing, short stature, but a good leader.
That's still the last Big Ten team to win a natty.
Yeah, goes way back.
Yeah,
that's something. That's the crazy thing. It's a bunch of parity and balance, but really, once they get to March, it's very rare that they get past second round.
The Big Ten has made its fair share of Final Fours, but hasn't necessarily been able to turn that into national championships. Michigan State's made a couple.
Multiple guys in the Final Four.
Michigan State, Wisconsin, Michigan have been there.
Oh, yeah.
Purdue, just last year. That's 4 different teams. I'm trying to think. Illinois got pretty close back in 2005. But again, it's been a while. And that's something we'll keep monitoring as we get closer. When you look back.
But are you impressed with what Wisconsin did? Are doing right now? Let's be honest.
I was not high on Wisconsin coming into the year.
Right?
I was not. They're solid. I begrudgingly give Greg Gard props. I hate the way he coaches. I hate the style that they play. But gosh darn it, if they don't find a way to win 18 or more games every dang year.
But that's the thing. They're a bunch of guys. They're bought into a system. They're good at specific things. There's nothing like super great about them as far as Now that the year that they had AJ Storr and Chucky and guys like there was some athleticisms there, but most guys.
Well, that was just last year.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
And they flamed out in the first round.
Right. Right. So it's a wild game out here, man. Just trying to figure all of that out.
There is a lot to figure out for Nebraska. And I think you and I, as we've been talking, we're trying to go over our notes. Can Nebraska find answers? Where does Nebraska go from here? Because Strick, this is a 12-5 basketball team right now that's lost 3 games in a row in conference play. First 3-game losing streak since they lost 4 in a row back in the 22-23 season. That team would regroup and win, I believe, 6 out of its last 8 then to finish the year with a 500 record overall. Before we get into where does Nebraska go from here, a couple more things on last night. I'm still trying to figure out in my mind, Strick, if it was Harper and Bailey that beat Nebraska, or if it was the role guys that beat Nebraska, right? Was it the fact that Rutgers had the 2 best players on the court last night? Or was it Rutgers role guys making those plays in some of those moments? Which of those do you think hurt Nebraska more?
I think it was pretty much a wash between Gary and Williams, right? Between them. And when you look at the scoring and the impact, for the most part, it looked as if, but the impactful moments in the game seemed to go towards the Rutgers side. They figured they made adjustments. They basically said, we have a lethal guy, Martini. We're going to put him in the corner. We're going to attack strong side, whether it's baseline, any type of deep penetrations, and we're going to then look weak side, and he was able to knock a few of them down.
Yeah.
And then by the time you make that adjustment, the impact is already done. It's already happened. So then guess what it does? It changes the way of your rotations, your coverages, how much you help and recover. And then it allows, guess what? More space for those other guys.
Yeah.
To make plays. That's what happened.
It's fascinating to me to try to break this down, because if you look, like you said, at the points, Rutgers' top 2 scorers had 45 points between them. Nebraska's top 2 scorers had 41. Rutgers' top 2 guys go 16 of 33. Nebraska's top 2 guys go 14 of 28. And then 7 of 15 for 3 from Rutgers' top 2 guys, 5 of 13 from 3 from Nebraska's. I think that it can be both, right, Strick? I do think that Harper and Bailey were just a little better across the board, and especially in those big moments than Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary were.
Yeah.
But I also think Rutgers role players stepped up. Or like Dylan Grant, 15 points on 7 of 8, hit some pretty big shots. Martini, like you were talking about, was 3 of 4 from long range. And Rutgers, a team that comes in shooting barely over 30% from 3 on the year, shoots 41%, 12 of 29 from long range in this game. And Rutgers made plays when it counted. Right? They got down by 9 early. They crawled back into it. Nebraska didn't bury them early, which you didn't think you were going to be able to do. But then it was a pretty back and forth game until Nebraska went cold over really the last 3 minutes and 41 seconds or so, because Dylan Harper got to the rim, because Ace Bailey was left open in the corner. But you also had, Nebraska's role guys miss a couple shots. Bryce Williams missed a 3. I know he's not a role guy, but Connor Seagent missed a 3. Whereas Rutgers hit those open kickouts, Connor Seagent missed a couple down the stretch last night. He ends up 4 of 7 from long range, Nebraska's 3rd leading scorer with 12 points. So that's where I think the most disappointing part of it is, as a Husker fan, to watch that game, is that a young Rutgers team came in on the road and beat an older, experienced Nebraska team. A younger team made more plays down the stretch in what's supposed to be a hostile environment than an older team did. And it was completely preventable for Nebraska as well. I mean, they give up 17 offensive rebounds, 19 second chance points. That's not going to get it done. Even though Nebraska did have more offensive rebounds and second chance points than Rutgers did. And Rutgers tried to let Nebraska back into it a couple times. Harper missed a couple free throws. Bailey missed a free throw down the stretch late. Rutgers was only 7 of 14 at the free throw line. Nebraska was 17 of 27. Neither of those are good marks. Both teams left plenty of points out there. But Strick, that's where I think that the consistency piece from Fred Hoiberg comes into play, and the toughness. He said he didn't question his guys' effort at all. There's a difference between playing hard and playing tough. Rutgers showed more mental resilience than Nebraska did last night, and they were on the road. Nebraska was at home. That part is a little frustrating to look at.
Yeah, man, that's the most frustrating part about it. There's a lot of things on the line. Not only your pride, your win streak. You'd lost 2 straight. You're back in the confines and the comfort of your own home. And you let a team that's struggling in some instances and sense come into your home, and instead of putting them away when you've had opportunities to do so, you allowed them to stay in the game. And for me, it was not staying in the game because you were horrible offensively or you were horrible at some area of the game. I mean, we know that you were horrible at the free throw line, but it was because they out-hustled you. They got loose balls.
Yeah.
They were first to get hands on ball. Both teams didn't turn the ball over, 8 and 7. So that's not an issue. It wasn't a whole bunch of, but the ones that were turnovers, they turned them into opportunities. So that's just the difference.
3 points, 85-82. Nebraska loses to Rutgers. So just some stats here, Strick, because the other part about this comes from Bill and Bennett on our text line. Do you guys think there was a little bit of Fred getting out-coached last night? I don't know. I still have a lot of respect for Fred Hoiberg. I think he can draw up some good stuff on the offensive end. We saw a little bit more of it, right? You've asked for more sets. You saw a few different ones last night, which I think we'd both say is a step in the right direction. But at the same time, Strick, Nebraska's defense has been getting shredded the last 3 games. 97, 104, and no, that different. Sorry, tweeting out something else here. But this was the tweet I was looking for. I know doubling is the system, but doubling a guy who doesn't take twos in the short corner, leaving one of their best shooters wide open, seems like a faulty strategy to me. I retweeted that from Jacob Padilla. That was a guy, I think it was Jordan Durkak, was doubled in the short corner in front of Rutgers bench, skips it out to Ace Bailey for a wide open 3. And Bigelow, who I have on corner 3 quite often, puts this out there. Nebraska's 5 losses this year. Here's what the teams are shooting from 3. 11 of 23, 9 of 23, 17 of 35, 19 of 33, and now 12 of 29. When teams shoot 39% or more from 3 against Nebraska, they've beat them. When it's been less than 39% from 3, Nebraska's won. Okay, we know that that's the risk Nebraska's going to run, but Strick, we haven't seen any defensive adjustment. We haven't seen any defensive changeup. We knew offense was going to be a bit of a struggle. Not the most offensively talented group full of bucket getters. But for this team to have this defensive identity and to continue getting torched from long range now 3 games in a row and not see any change in defensive strategy, I think it's fair to question that.
Yeah, it is. And again, it's an IQ thing. Like, it shouldn't be, and this is what we talked about, I think. I don't know. I know I was talking with Harrison last night about it. But it's a thing where, for example, schools today, maybe even your time, there was a time where I know in school that we had lockers. We had to take our books to the locker because we had to get to another class. We had homework. We had assignments. We had to do stuff from home. It seemed like a lot of stuff began to be done in school. Didn't have to take your books home and probably had stuff on the computer and all that stuff, but you didn't have like your backpack full of a bunch of books like we used to have, right? And I'm not saying this but this to make this point. I can honestly say that I remember that theories and when you did an assignment, it wasn't just a one-all end-all. There are things like that where there is a specific answer, but then there was a lot of things that you literally had to consider. You had to think, you had to process. It was critical. You had to, think about the answer and give it to in verbal or written form, right? Where it seems as if now it's tell you, this is what it is, do it like that. So in the offensive or in the defensive scheme of things, it's a defensive scheme. No matter where the ball goes, you go double. There should be a process of free thinking on that, depending on location, where he's at, and who it is. Right? If it's Ace Bailey, immediately, I don't care. We want it out of his hands. If it's Martini, like it was, maybe bigger, wait until a few dribbles to where he gets down. But all Martini was doing was baiting. You should be able to read that. Like, that's what we had to do. We knew that if Shaquille O'Neal got the ball off the block.
Not on the block.
Not on the block. Off the block in that short corner area, we're not coming until he puts the ball down, and it kind of throws him off a little bit. The closer he get, the faster we want to get over there. So, because we knew Shaquille was good enough that he could hold the ball, see what was going on. Oh, you're coming? He was good enough to do that. And that's the thing. Some of those things are just baits. They're not even really trying to be aggressive on the offensive end. And so by you running over there, gotcha, right? And so now you've caused an issue for yourself on the weak side because they know exactly where they're going and you're not making the adjustment. So what I'm saying is there's a time when you should bait them to making a dribble. If you want to come baseline, cool. You just force them, one dribble. We're coming on one dribble, or we're coming when he gets to the block, or whatever it is. you determine that, and then you have to read based on the situation and who the threat is. Because they were going just to go. And it was like, that didn't make sense. That guy's halfway off the block. He's no threat.
And it's not a guy that you're scared of in the post.
Yeah, it's a wild thing. It's a wild thing.
And Fred Hoiberg also said regarding that in postgame that if they're going to continue to play this strategy, you got to get more tips and deflections, right? There are a lot of just straight line passes, not a lot of looping, which makes it harder for guys to close out to anyways. Yeah. So if you're going to trap, do it with some conviction. Like you're saying, have a purpose, have a plan for it, get into it. Otherwise, it completely defeats the purpose. So that leaves us with this. Strick, Nebraska now on a 3-game losing streak. They'll have film today, practice tomorrow. They're out at Maryland on Sunday for another 11 a.m. Central, 12 Eastern tip-off against Maryland, a team that just got beat on a buzzer beater in overtime in Evanston by Northwestern last night. Strick, what do the Huskers have to do to get out of the tailspin? Are there any fixes, or do you think we just see the same Husker team and, they're just going to be fighting it through the end of the year?
Well, I don't know. They've got to tighten up some of those things. They've got to be able to make the adjustments. They got to be able to make them in game. They've got to be able to make them from game to game. And you've got to be able to counter what their counter is to you. But if you're going to be so predictable on the defensive side of things, then you're going to continue to catch that heat. Because guess what guys are practicing? The guys on the offensive team that's coming to play you, they're practicing those shots.
Right. Yeah. Game
so
shots.
When they see it, when they see, okay, with the double here, here's where our outlet's going to be, and here's where your shots are, and they're practicing them. So that when it shows up in the game, oh, we've seen this. We know this. So either you're going to have to make those adjustments, or it's very possible that you're going to see a lot of what you're seeing as of late.
0598 says, I don't like to blame the refs, but they didn't help under 2 minutes left. Ace was about to get to half court, took 4 steps. They didn't call travel instead. Boykin gets called for a foul. There were a couple of those that I think fans really wanted, Strick. The first one was at the end of the first half. Fred Hoiberg wanted to travel. I never got a great look at it. My way was blocked. I didn't see where he gathered it. The video from BTN, I thought it looked clean. I thought it was fine. Again, I didn't see it. I wasn't there. I'm not going to say it was right or wrong. But that last one, even if, Bailey did travel, Boykin didn't do himself any favors, right? He kind of ran through him, ran past the spot, made it look bad. And sure, maybe the travel happened before the foul, but don't get yourself in that position. Again, hit your free throws, finish your layups. What do we think Nebraska shot on layups last night? What do we think?
Horrible.
9 of 18.
They missed a bunch of bunnies.
Especially ones that could have been and ones.
Yes.
At least 3 of those in the first half before you headed back and watched the rest of the game back here with Harrison. Nebraska didn't finish at the rim. Nebraska didn't shoot free throws well, and they missed a couple open threes.
You shot 27 to their 14. Come on, don't. One foul. Come on, man.
One travel, maybe 2 travels.
Come on. No. You did what you were supposed to do. But here's another example. Let me give you another example of IQ. And then I'll be quiet. It was actually probably a play that could have made a difference. Berke Boyukdengel is under the rim. Ball comes off. It's kind of in a little scatter in the paint. Goes off the hands. This is awareness. This is IQ. Goes off the hands of Dylan Harper. Going out of bounds, it's going to be your ball. He dives out of bounds, saves the ball, back under the rim, they get it and one.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do that. No, it's not like he's obscured.
No.
He's right there under the rim. This is awareness stuff. You see the ball go up. You see the ball come down. You should be seeing where the ball's at. Oh, that ball went off Ace. That ball went off of Dylan Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I
diving out of bounds?
Diving
out of
the play. Mm-hmm. You know why? That fake hustle. Making myself look like I'm being scrappy and hustling for the ball. the best thing you could have did is, oh yeah, that ball's going out on him. Leave it alone and let's go the other way. But you wanted to try to get
look cool.
That type of stuff, and it hurts your team. So now they get an N1, and now where you could have been up or up 4 or whatever, now that changes the whole dynamic of the game. So it's stuff like that, man. So no, I'm not buying that.
Credit Rutgers, hold it against Nebraska. There's a lot there for the Huskers to learn from. 12-5 are the Huskers. There was some good news, though. It came from Iowa City. Husker ladies take down Iowa. We'll react to that game, have some thoughts on that when we get back to On the Block. Again, keep your thoughts coming in, 402-464-5685. We'll keep talking some Husker hoops. Women coming up next. We'll talk some football, some NIL, some Title IX, a big decision from the Department of Education yesterday. And then in about an hour, Isaac Trotter of 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports will join us to talk some Big Ten hoops. Don't go anywhere. More On the Block after this.
Follow Austin, Strick, and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, 4-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and we wanted to give a special shout out to all of our great customers, thanking you all for a record-setting year in 2024. Now let's get the new year rolling with some big savings. Right now at Cobble, we have some of the biggest discounts in the area with over $12,000 off list price or 0% APR on select new models. So stop on in the dealership or hit us up online at cobblecars.com to get true low country overhead in action. $12,000 off list or 0% APR right now at Cobble. So please stop on in or visit us at cobblecars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Salt Mine City is now open at 8th and R in the Haymarket. Come check out Lincoln's newest brewery with 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager, Strick Street Amber Wheat, and so many more. There's daily drink specials like $1 off Moscow Mules on Tuesdays, $6 IPAs on Fridays, and $6 Bloody Marys on Saturdays. Stop by Tuesday through Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11 p.m., Saturdays 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. It's Salt Mine City, Lincoln's newest brewery at 8th and R.
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes. Feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, It's all right here, beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Bryant at 402-467-1111 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-1111.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on the block, continuing the Husker Hoops conversation. We'll talk some NIL and Title IX to lead off hour two. Big decision, big statement put out by the Department of Education. We'll get into that. Then again, a college basketball conversation with Isaac Trotter of 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports coming up. Before we dive into Husker women's basketball, their 87-84 win at Iowa. Strick, I do want to address this from Kevin in Southwest Lincoln. He says, clicked off of that was my mistake. He says, with the upcoming 5 games, I expect the Husker men to be 12-10 overall and 2-9 in conference play. At that point, just hoping for an NIT invite and maybe a home game or 2 in it. This is not a big dance team at all. If Nebraska loses its next 5 games and is on an 8-game losing streak, I don't even know how I would react to that. That seems so far out of the question for me. At least it should be with a team as veteran as this one with home games in the mix.
Start it again for me, Austin. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you clearly.
If this Nebraska men's basketball team goes on an 8-game losing streak, they're going to be real questions. I don't think that's in the cards. I think they're better than they've shown recently. Not an easy schedule. No one has an easy schedule in the Big Ten. They'll have a couple home games mixed in there. Someone said last night, I think they're going winless in the rest of January. I highly doubt that. They'll find the way to get 1 or 2. But if they don't, it's legitimately time to start having some conversations. But I just want to throw this out there for people. Again, I brought this up on Corner 3. Go check out the full episode for the full breakdown. I know I've brought it up here, but it bears repeating. Strick, basically since you left school, Nebraska doesn't make back-to-back postseasons. It really doesn't happen. Nebraska, let's just go from 2004, essentially, right? Since the year 2000. Nebraska makes the 2004 NIT, doesn't make the postseason in 05. They make the 06 NIT, don't make the postseason in 2007. Back-to-back NITs in 08-09 before missing any postseason in 2010. Make the 2011 NIT, don't get back. 2014, they lose to Baylor in the first round down in San Antonio, and then don't make it again in 2015. Wheels completely fell off of that team. 2018, they make the NIT first round. They follow that up in 2019 by making the NIT as well. So if you look at this, they've only made back-to-back postseasons twice since 2000. Twice! With a group as veteran as this one, on the surface, you would think that failing to make it back to the NCAA tournament would be a huge indictment of failure, a big step backwards. I'm in the opposite boat. I think if Nebraska makes the NIT, sure, maybe it's not exactly what you were hoping for this team coming off an NCAA tournament appearance. And of course, Nebraska, still with the distinction, is the only power conference program not to win an NCAA tournament game. But number one, given just how rare it is for this program since you left school to make back-to-back postseason appearances, and number two, the roster that does not fit together at all, as we continue to see. If Nebraska is able to cobble together an NIT appearance, if they're able to win 17, 18 games and play in the NIT, yeah, it's a step back from last season. But I think in the big picture scope of the program, making the postseason back-to-back years is something that doesn't happen very often and should be to some degree celebrated.
Okay. I don't have anything to negate what you said. I think taking a look at something could tell you how special how special that run was and how special some of those pieces were. But then you did something, I want to say it was either yesterday or the day before. You said, let's take a look at what is going on with Eli Rice.
Played in one game at Penn State.
I think we should extend that. Take a look at what's going on with Jamarcus Lawrence.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's under 10 points. He probably averaged more points here than he did there. And his shooting percentage is probably worse there than it is here.
Jamarcus Lawrence right now is averaging 9 points and 3 assists per game, shooting 39% from the floor, 35% from three, and 89% of the free throw line. Compared to last year at Nebraska, when he shot 35.5% from three and averaged 7 points and 2.5 assists per game. Basically the same player. Basically the same player. But he's a full-time starter for Rhode Island.
But he's in a power, what do they call it in basketball? Power 5?
Well, he's in a group, a mid-major.
Now.
A10, yeah.
Now.
Mm-hmm.
But last year.
Power 5. Yeah.
So the numbers, you would expect to be in, if you're that type of player,
mm-hmm.
Okay, who else is there?
They lost.
Is it Wilcher? Didn't Wilcher go transfer somewhere?
He's averaging like 4 points a game at A&M.
Okay, right? So those were people that you had on your team that took you to third ranking in the Big Ten, but they're not doing anything anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that tell you? What does it tell you?
It tells me a couple things. The first thing it tells me, though, Strick, is that to some degree, Nebraska's third place finish last year was as much a testament to the rest of the Big Ten as it was Nebraska. Nebraska won the right games last year. Nebraska is not necessarily winning those right games. And I do think the other part we haven't mentioned yet, Strick, that stands out is the absence of Rink Mast. Because as we look at the roster and what Nebraska can or cannot do, Rink Mast wasn't a superstar last year, but he was an advantage for Nebraska because of what his skill set is. He was a differentiator. He was unique in the Big Ten Conference.
Mm-hmm. There was nothing like him. It was either traditional big,
mm-hmm.
Edie style, super
mm-hmm.
athletic,
mm-hmm.
or guard heavy with just the guy that it happened to be for. You're right.
Really, the only guy anything like Rink Mast in the conference last year was Coleman Hawkins.
Right.
But Hawkins was more a scorer. Mast was more that facilitator and hub. So not only does Nebraska lose guys that played significant minutes for a team, not only did Nebraska win the correct games, I guess, on the schedule, but Nebraska lost a big piece of its identity and its playmaking big man, Rink Mast. That, to me, is what I'm seeing is the difference from last year to this year.
Yeah, because real talk, you're getting a lot of the same stuff that you got because K-State was very inconsistent, big in some big games, maybe didn't show up in some.
Mm-hmm.
That's Bryce. You're getting that same thing from Bryce right now. It's not necessarily always. You've seen Bryce. Like Bryce will go for 30 and then he'll have 11 the next night or so. It's not. It's they're good games. I'm not saying they didn't play well. I'm just saying there at times was these drops. I mean, you're getting a lot of the same type of things as far as the leader on your team from because there's been games where it's been a season. And it hasn't been Bryce.
Mm-hmm. And to some degree, I don't mind that.
I don't either.
On the surface, right?
We're seeing the same thing outside of Rink Mast. That's the only point that I'm making.
Yes.
I'm not trying to go bad on it. That's the only piece that I'm making. All of those things look very similar. Is your differentiator is just not there.
Your identity piece is not there. And that, to me, Strick, is the story of this season so far for Nebraska. Of course, they still have 14 more games in Big Ten Conference play, whatever they have ahead of them for postseason. But to this point, not enough guys have taken a step forward from who they were last year. Have we seen more of an alpha dog mentality from Bryce Williams? Not necessarily. Has Juwan Gary gotten more consistent shooting the ball and finishing? Not necessarily. Sam Hoiberg, same player he was last year. You know, in terms of returners, who else do you really have? I mean, you count Cale Jacobson. He's on the floor more. Congratulations. But you replaced a lot of key pieces, and the guys that you brought back feel like the same players. And if Nebraska was going to take another step forward, taking a step forward was just to get back to where you were last year. Taking a step forward wasn't going to vault you into Big Ten title consideration. That was to stay in the top third of the league. But since you're the same players you were last year for the vast majority of the time, and you lost your identity, it explains a lot about why Nebraska is where it's at right now.
Yeah. There you go.
Al says Nebraska doesn't have an Alec. No, but I also don't know how much that makes a difference for Nebraska. I think Josiah Alec was a better fit with Rink Mast last year than the bigs that fit together this year. But also, I don't mind the idea of a Rink Mast and Barricade Wheaton gel front court. Barricade's just not ready yet. He's so inconsistent. I don't mind the idea of a Rink Mast Andrew Morgan front court. That'd kind of be like what Michigan has going on with Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden to some degree. There might even be a role for Braxton Mia in Rink Mast together, but without Rink, that's the skill set that ties everything else on the roster together. So there's a lot of conundrums going on. Nebraska's 12-5, but we'll definitely monitor it. Let's go to break. When we get back, we do want to touch on the women's game. They do take down Iowa. We'll talk about that to wrap up Hour 1 of On the Block.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Salt Mine City is now open at 8th and R in the Haymarket. Come check out Lincoln's newest brewery with 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager, Strick Street Amber Wheat, and so many more. There's daily drink specials like $1 off Moscow Mules on Tuesdays, $6 IPAs on Fridays, and $6 Bloody Marys on Saturdays. Stop by Tuesday through Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11 p.m., Saturdays 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. It's Salt Mine City, Lincoln's newest brewery at 8th and R.
Hey volleyball fans, this is Laura Dijkema, national player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes, feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, it's all right here beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game & Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Time for a new heating and cooling system? Get the options, brand, and efficiency that best fits your family and your home. Call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Bryant at 402-467-1111 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-1111.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Some good news in Husker hoops. 87-84. The Nebraska women go on the road to Iowa City, and they take down the nasty Hawkeyes. Big game, Strick, out of OVO, Omaha's very own. Britt Prince led the way for the Huskers in this one. She had 22 points, actually led all scorers in the game. 6 of 18 overall, but 5 of 11 from 3, 5 of 6 at the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and a stone-cold step-back 3 to tie the game. Late, gritty, gutty win for the women on the road. They're up 7 after the first quarter, got down by 11 at one point in the third or fourth quarter, came back to tie it up late, and then they win overtime at 10-7. That's a much-needed result for that team, and I think that's another step in the development of Britt Prince, who's really coming on, not running into that freshman wall. She's getting better right now as we get into the winter.
3-point loss for the men, 3-point win for the women. Women go on the road, men lose it at home. So it's good to get something and to see them finish it off. But that's the difference. You go on the road, you put yourself in the top tier of the Big Ten by winning road games. Look, Iowa Hawkeyes are 3-5. It was a tough game. It's always going to be a tough game. It's a place that you haven't won in forever.
2018 was the last time you won there.
Right?
Pre-Caitlin Clark.
Right? So that's one thing. So you definitely overcame that. You lose Markowski by falling out, who is probably one of your best players.
And she was good. 8 of 11 for 19 points, but fouled out in 30 minutes. So she was playing well, and you lose her. You overcome that.
And like you're seeing the emergence of like it just takes time. Someone who's coming from the level and just finding her niche, finding her role, finding her place. You don't want to come in. You want to come in confident as a freshman. Like don't get it twisted. When I came in as a freshman, I knew that Pike was there. I knew that there was guys I'd have to go through, but at the same time, I wasn't going to back down to them. But I also understood that there was a hierarchy as far as if I'm penetrating Paul, I need to find Pike. They call him the Polish rifle for a reason.
Hey.
Right? And I knew my time would eventually come. And so Britt Prince, you don't want to come in and just start stepping on toes and start, because that's an easy way to alienate some of your people. Like, for example, I saw a couple of clips on how some of the teammates feel about Deshaun Watson.
Jimmy Butler.
Couple of players, like one time he trying to help one of his teammates up, and he don't even take it. That's when you know, and you're the quarterback of the team, that's not good. That means the effort's not going to be there to protect you, to make sure your blind side is good, to block a little extra longer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you do enough to make sure that it's seen on film. Same thing with Jimmy. Sometimes it definitely in Miami right now, it's probably run its course as far as the feelings there and the times that they had to step in on him and let him know about himself and so forth and so on. And like the question then also becomes, like, guys like Steph Curry, no problems, but you had Draymond beside you. Those issues continue to persist. I know you love it. You want to do similar to what Dirk and what some of these others have done and finish their career where they started.
Mm-hmm.
But is it time for him to move on? And you're seeing Britt Prince starting to emerge as a leader on this team, as someone to go to on this team, as someone to count on this team. And she's finding her place. She's getting stronger. She's getting more physical. She's continuing to enhance her game, and it's coming to light. And it definitely showed in this one. She hit some big buckets.
She did some key ones down the stretch. Nebraska put the ball in her hands, and she helped win in the game, just like she did
6 steals
against Rutgers and against Michigan State. She did.
Play deep.
She did. We are really starting to see Britt Prince emerge, and that is an exciting sign for this program. Some good contributions from some role players as well.
We've always asked that. Well, before you go to role players, we've always talked about that. There's something missing with Nebraska. And I still think they need, like, could you imagine if someone like Juju Watkins was at Nebraska? Like, I'm not saying that Britt can't get there, but oh gosh. Now you talk about things you can do in the Big Ten alone. Now you may not be able to beat up on South Carolina. I mean, they just have 4, 5, or 7 of those.
Right.
But boy, think how it would look.
Very good.
add one more person to Britt Prince with like a skill set, like Keomi McMiller
from Rutgers. Oh, she was chucking the other night.
Oh,
went in. She was chucking though.
She's got that thing with her.
Burner.
So I don't know. I'm just saying.
Other notable contributions in Nebraska's win over Iowa: Logan Nisley, 3 of 6 from long range, 4-4 at the free throw line, and 5 of 6. Nope, sophomore.
That's good.
Played last year. That was good.
Those two together for another 3-4 years. Yeah, come on.
Jess Petrie playing a lot more minutes, more consistently. Obviously, with Natalie Potts's injury, 13 points for her, hit a 3, but also 6 rebounds for her. You look at Alberti Rimdahl, hit 3 of her 5 shots, also had 3 assists in her minutes. Kendall Moriarty's defense. Amaya Hargrove's the one I was getting to, Stricky. Double for her, 10 points, 11 rebounds. Matched up quite a bit of the night with one of the best players in the conference in Hannah Stolke, who was supposed to take over some of that mantle. I mean, she was a great secondary piece behind Caitlin Clark last year. Stolke still did her thing. I mean, 16 points and 16 rebounds, but 4 of 8 at the free throw line for her. Lucy Olson, who transfers in from Villanova, just 1 of 6 at the free throw line. That's what helped keep Nebraska in this game. Huskers turn it over 16 times, which leads to 23 Iowa points. They give up 12 offensive rebounds that lead to 11 second chance points. But Strick, Iowa goes to the free throw line 29 times, only hits 16 of them, whereas Nebraska was 18 of 22. So good work there by the Nebraska bigs and limiting Stolke for the most part. Iowa didn't shoot well from long range either, only 8 of 27 for, again, a team that still shoots it pretty well. That's a gritty, gutty win for a Nebraska team that I think needed it, Strick. It's obviously not the same Iowa team, and we don't have time to get into this now, but it might be worth, sometime next week looking into, is it easier to replace a generational player in college or the pros, right? No Caitlin Clark for Iowa. They're still a fine team. They're still adequate. They're in a challenge for the NCAA tournament, but is it easier to find that next piece when you can develop them on your own in college? Or is it easier when you can tank for them in the draft when you know the end of the line is coming? So I think that's a discussion.
Good one. We should get into that.
So let's go to break here. When we get back, some huge news in college athletics. The Department of Education says that the $20.5 million in revenue sharing has to abide by Title IX rules. We'll get into that, give you our thoughts on it, what could be coming down the pike, and more when we get into hour 2 of On the Block.
Follow Austin, Strick, and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Bryant at 402-467-1111 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-1111. Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
At Fairway Meat Market, your family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now, through January 19th, enjoy USDA Choice Boneless Beef Rump Roast for $4.99 per pound. All natural boneless pork roast for $1.99 per pound, 5-ounce tuna steak and mahi-mahi fillets $2.99 each, and chicken chili crispitos, 99 cents a piece. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Hockey Fights Cancer Night with the Lincoln Stars is Saturday, January 18th, as they host the Muskegon Lumberjacks. We'll be honoring all in their brave fight against cancer all evening long, and the Stars will be wearing special uniforms that will be auctioned off after the game. Stick around afterwards on the North Zone stage to bid on those jerseys and lock in your tickets now for Hockey Fights Cancer Night on Saturday, January 18th by heading to LincolnStars.com.
Right now, when you drive by Honda of Lincoln, you'll see more than 200 new Hondas and over 125 pre-owned vehicles. Hi, Charlie Stone here, and with me on the line is Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, how does it feel to have so many vehicles in stock again for your customers?
Charlie, it feels amazing to see how excited our customers are. They love the ability to see, test drive, and take immediate delivery of the exact new Honda they're looking for.
Do you have some good offers to talk about?
We sure do, Charlie. We're offering financing as low as 0.9% APR up to 72 months, or great lease rates on every new Honda. It's the perfect time to drive away in the new Honda you've been dreaming of.
How about pre-owned, Andy?
We have over 125 pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Just about every make and model with prices starting at under $10,000.
Maybe it's time you experience the best, the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Make the 2025 deer season your best yet. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo Friday, January 17th through Sunday, January 19th. Check out the hunting seminars, browse the hunting and outdoor exhibits, sign up for the 360 blind giveaway, compete in the Big Buck and Monster Shed contest, try the 3D shoot and more. Get tickets at the door. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 17th through the 19th at the Sandhills Global Event Center. 84th and Havelock in Lincoln, presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock. A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three. And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NIPCO. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Hour 2 of On the Block comes your way here on a Friday from 1040 O Street in Lincoln. Brought to you by the fantastic people over at NEBCO. They are looking for some mechanics. They are looking for some CDL drivers. If that's you or you think that could be you, check them out, nebcoinc.com. Lots to get into here from the text line. I probably won't be able to get to all of it here throughout the show, but 0508 and 1562. Really do appreciate your thoughts. I don't think we have time to get into that because we have some pretty good discussions lined up for you here in hour 2 of the show. I will do my best to reply to you during breaks or maybe even into old school. So definitely stick with us here. We'll reply to you. But Strick, the biggest news in not just college football, not just college basketball, but all of college sports came out yesterday when the Department of Education said the $20.5 million that schools have allocated, have broken away for the revenue sharing with athletes. According to this current Department of Education, that needs to be distributed according to Title IX rules. That means a proportional split between the revenue that goes to men's sports and the revenue that goes to women's sports. We didn't know how this was going to break down. We thought that this could be the case. We didn't know that the Department of Education was going to come out and say that this would be the case. But when you hear that the revenue sharing, the $20.5 million that schools can give to their athletes needs to, according to this Department of Education, abide by Title IX rules and regulations, what do you think about that?
Okay, let me just make sure for clarity purposes. Is it based on what, is it equitable to what they bring into the program, which then gives the percentage of distribution to where that goes? Or is it just a percentage that goes across the board to the different sports? How does it work?
This is from Sportico's article. The Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights has issued guidance regarding college athlete name, image, and likeness, putting the onus on schools to ensure their male and female athletes receive proportionate NIL opportunities and resources, regardless of whether the funding comes from external sources.
So
proportionate.
That's the word I'm kind of up in air about. What does that mean? What does proportion?
Here's what it means.
Go
Strick.
ahead. Mm-hmm.
Continuing in that next paragraph on the Sportico article, in a 9-page fact sheet released Thursday, OCR clarified that under Title IX, NIL money paid to college athletes should be held to the same gender equity standards as athletic scholarships.
Trouble. That's what. So in essence,
football's paying for everyone else.
Basically. So, what happens? Does it go in the drain? There's going to be some effect to that decision right there, because in essence, that is NBA, WNBA, but on the collegiate level. But it's not full equitable because it's not but it's basically it's Major League Baseball on the collegiate level. It's the big boys paying down to the little guys. So look, this doesn't just happen in men's, women's sports. This happens
professional sports.
Mm-hmm. So this is not a new thing. So don't think of Stricky's making it a boy versus girl, a man versus woman. It's not that, because it happens all over. It's in essence collegiate socialism.
Pretty much.
Let's call it what a TI is. It's collegiate socialism. But they you make it in these high end words, proportional and all that. So it is what it is. It's big boys paying, for the other stuff. Now the thing is, it's how is it going to be viewed? How are you going to look at it? Because at the end of the day, somebody's going to be salty about that.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what's going to happen? You want me to give you kind of insight what's going to happen?
Billable hours. Lawyers win.
Lawyers win. But here's also what's going to happen. It's not going to be enough ever. The ones that's even though it's coming down, big boys are paying. Smaller schools ain't going to be able to do it that same level. Because there's going to be some sports, even men's sports in smaller colleges, that there's not going to be a person in the stand or two. And they're not going to be making. So in the football, there's going to be somebody but the ones, and it's not just women, but the ones that are receiving, coming down, it's never going to be enough. And so you're going to always have that problem because you've created it.
There's so much to chew on and work through it. But the biggest issue for me with all of this, Strick, is that we don't seem to have terminology straight. This report from the Department of Education seems to think that NIL and revenue sharing are the same thing.
Mm-hmm. It's not.
My understanding, how I've been trying to talk about these things, is NIL is what comes from collectives. Revenue sharing is what comes from the athletic department.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm still trying to figure out is if this fact sheet from the Office of Civil Rights from the Department of Education is trying to say that NIL is a part of revenue sharing, or can NIL be different? Because here's the thing, Strick.
They need to figure out that.
They need to get on the same page for what terminology are we using and what are we referring to. Because the way that I read this from the Department of Education is that even the money that comes from collectives needs to be shared in a proportionate manner. That doesn't necessarily sit right with me. I will say this. I am not upset at saying of the $20.5 million that needs to be shared proportionately. Fine. No, that's saying you are a student athlete. Basically, everyone's getting a full scholarship now. No more partial scholarships. You get the cost of your tuition, your room and board, your books, all of that stuff. And then however many athletes are in the athletic department, because of the revenue that we bring in.
They get some stipend.
Well, I'm even okay with giving all student athletes the same stipend, right? I'm fine with that when it comes from the athletic department.
Yeah.
Right? Is it my favorite? Probably not, right? I still think it's kill what you eat. I still think that, the market is a good thing, right? It's not saying one person is more valuable than the other. It's not saying one person is putting in more work than another person in a sport that brings in more money versus less money. No, because of that, you're a student athlete. You are putting time in. You're dedicated. You're being good in the classroom. I'm fine if they distribute that $20.5 million equal down to the cent for every student athlete on campus. That maybe not my favorite strategy, but fine. You can talk me into that. But if we're going to loop in payments from the outside, from collectives, and say that has to be distributed equally, that's where I have a bit of a pushback. I'm sorry. Some sports have more money in them than other sports. Again, that is not to devalue the work being done or the people in sports that bring in less revenue. Absolutely not. But the market is a good thing.
Yeah.
Competition in the market is a good thing. If football is going to bring in a lot of NIL money, if basketball is going to bring in a lot of NIL money, if volleyball is going to bring in a lot of NIL money, to me, if it's going to go through a collective, that can be earmarked for programs and distributed according to the market. That money, to me, should be separate from the athletic department money. But again, there's been such a conflagration of terms where the Department of Education is looping NIL in with what we view as revenue sharing, But for me, if football is going to bring in, say you're Ohio State or Ole Miss, right? You're paying out $20 million in NIL from collectives, from boosters, from sponsorship deals. And those football players are paying for the rowing team or whatever it is. That doesn't sit right with me. But if the money's just going to the athletic department to use for whatever they want, I'm fine with them. If they want to say, yep, football's bringing in more, football athletes will make more, and then we'll tier it down below, kind of like the Kirby Hocutt plan at Texas Tech. If some athletic departments say, hey, you know what? You're all student athletes. We appreciate all of you and the work you do, like a Stanford, like a Texas, that are always really high in the Director's Cup because they have a lot of really good programs at national championship levels. If a school like that says, yeah, you all are contributing to national championships, you're helping bring us prestige, and they want to pay them evenly, fine, you can talk me into that as well. But as soon as we start saying that what happens outside of, like for Nebraska, right, state institution, it's a public body, a public entity. The collective isn't public. The collective is private. If you want to tell the public entity what to do with its $20.5 million, okay, fine. It's public. It's state-run. It is governmentally involved. That's fine. But as soon as you start telling private business where their money has to go, that crosses the line for me.
Understood. I look at it from, I think I'm a pretty good open-minded dude, and I don't just find myself staying in bubbles and in echo chambers, so forth and so on. So I look at the vagueness of what the wording is, and that always poses a problem for me, Austin. Those vague statements with not, streamlining or making concise what you're trying to say, and you leave it open to interpret it gets then into what you just said, attorneys.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a constant fight on narrowing what the scope is or what you're trying to say. And so,
and when are you vague? When you don't know what you're talking about.
That, or there's something in government, you leave vagueness out there because it leaves room for the ability to have corruptness. Here's why. Corruptness is not necessarily just money laundering or, just doing all that, but it's a thing that still, to me, is corrupt, but it's part of the political game, and it's something that they call pork. It's these little pet projects and pork and stuff that's out there where extra money gets kind of pushed into it, and it inflates stuff to make it higher than what it really should be. It's easy. So when you leave vagueness out there, it opens the door for a lot of pork to come in.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so for me, it's the ability to hide these type of things, or to be, why leave room for shadiness? And that's the thing. Just make it clear, make it concise, so that we know what the rules of the game are, and then we can play in that space the right way. Right now, it's kind of open and vague, and it looks like there's a very possibility for a lot of pork to be kind of, put into this whole barrel. Yeah.
Husker's piece says, this decision by the Department of Education is to keep from calling the athletes employees. This is only possible because they are calling it financial assistance and not wages. I think that's a decent way to look at it, Strick, because they are, from the Department of Education level, looping the outside NIL in as financial assistance, basically saying it's the same as a scholarship. And I can understand how, if you're considering money from a collective the exact same as the money from an athletic department or a school to pay for your education, I can understand how they get that tied together. But I think there is a difference, or that there should be a difference moving forward. Because if it is financial assistance, if it's scholarship, room, board, tuition, stipend, all that stuff, yes, that is absolutely something that should be even, regardless of what sport you're playing as an athlete in Nebraska. But NIL is not financial assistance. That's bonus. That's on top, is what it is. And that's where, Strick, I'm kind of worried about Nebraska's standing. We had this conversation a couple months ago, right, about Nebraska's advantages. When was Nebraska good? What changed from when Nebraska good? Why hasn't it been able to keep up? Why hasn't football been at the same level and whatnot? If we go to a system like this Department of Education is saying, and let's not discount the fact that in 3 days we're going to have a new Department of Education. Within 2 years, this Department of Education is not going to operate the same. Okay, so there's that. We might be making a lot of ado about nothing.
Yeah.
Something might change. It might stay the same. Yeah. We're going to have to wait and see.
But it's also why the NCAA has been kind of funny style. And because there's been that form of corruption that has been involved within there. And they do it in this roundabout. There's a lot of money that's brought in, but then at the end of the day, you really don't know where it's going to and what it's going for, and is it going to the benefit of the students or is it going to the benefit of some pockets of? I was just talking to a friend of mine not too long ago, just to give you an example of what I'm saying a little bit further, right? So this specific individual is a teacher, and in her school they have a very low rating. This is in Texas. It's a very low rating, so they're looking to merge this other organization to it, so that it can it's basically bait and switch type stuff, so that they can raise its level. They're D, they're B, so it raises them, and it on paper it looks like they're better off. So they're making it K through 12 as opposed to 6 through 8. So they're just adding others, and then they're adding this other group. But one of the things that she shared with me was this, that they're calling on them to do more work in this system. They lose a math teacher. She's a assistant principal, wanting her, who has math background, to teach the math class, but still do that. But she said there's a whole bunch of executives at the top. So there's a bunch of these executives making all this money, and they're trying to get these people to do more work. Why don't you send them executives down, eliminate one of those executives because they just don't want to pay another teacher? But you got all these other executives. What are y'all doing? Obviously, you ain't doing nothing, because you've got schools that are at D levels. So you got a bunch of executives just sitting there getting fat off the pork and not being able to. Why can't one of them executives go down and be, okay, you want her to do that? Fine. This would seem like a logical thing to do. You don't want to pay her. You're already paying her. Leave her at her salary. Let her teach the math class. Send one of those executives down to be the principal. They're just sitting in the office anyway.
And if they're just sitting, maybe they're not qualified to be principal, but what are they doing? Right? Administrative bloat.
Get rid of them and then hire a principal. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Find someone qualified for the job, man, and pay the people that are qualified for the job. I come from a long line of teachers, and I could go off on that pretty much all day.
That's just an example of what I'm saying, of how these entities deal with pork.
Yeah.
Fatness.
They enjoy it.
Yeah.
They enjoy it. So, couple more texts here to get to. 1562 says, this is going to force football to break away from the NCAA, and then the money will be gone. Then nobody gets anything. The people who detail this up are incompetent. Yeah, I mean, if football breaks away from the NCAA
it's a wrap.
Model,
and it will.
Danger zone. Absolutely danger zone. And then
colleges go to fail zone at that point.
Oof. And then Texter 1000 says, you're not going to give everyone in high school athletics the same amount. Same thing as college contracts are coming, believe me. I just want to wrap up just one final time to clarify my position in case it wasn't clear. Tell me if you agree, disagree, what you like, what you don't like, before we get to Isaac Trotter of CBS Sports and 24/7 Sports. I believe the biggest issue right now is the Department of Education not having clear distinction between name, image, and likeness from collectives and revenue sharing from the athletic department. I am okay with revenue sharing from the athletic department being divided as evenly as possible amongst all student athletes in the athletic department, because they're all student athletes competing for championships, putting in work in the weight room, in the classroom, on the field, whatever their playing surface is. When it moves into NIL from outside of the university, that to me should not be under the same restrictions of proportionality. That, to me, should be market-based, market dictated, because you can have elements of both the systems, right? One where you take care of all of your student athletes because they're student athletes, and then you listen to the market and say, we are giving you money for this because we are willing to pay for this because we enjoy this. We don't need to eliminate sports. We don't need to eliminate scholarships. We don't have to devalue or overvalue. There is a way to value every individual competing in college sports because they are competing, and there is a way to reward those who are participating in a sport that society at large enjoys and is willing to pay more to see. They're not mutually exclusive.
So is there a cap? Because here's the thing. There are going to be universities, i.e. your Georgias, i.e. your Notre Dames, i.e. that have more revenue sharing opportunities. Is there a cap? You know what I'm saying? Like, could they say, well, we're capped at the 20, but then we'll add an extra 10 to this to differentiate ourselves from, Oregon. There'll be some places where they're making more, even Nebraska. Like they may make more in their revenues. And is it a cap? Is that the high point? Like, that's not even clear, right?
Right.
No, it's just something I'm throwing out. I don't know. And that's what's crazy, right? Even if you so we distribute the 20 million equally, what if we go above it?
That, to me,
you see what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying, is that
it's not clear.
If you do go above it, that to me shouldn't be subject to the same rules.
Yeah.
Be able to benefit if you're one of those big schools instead of be punished for raising that much more money.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm saying. So
okay, so I just want to make sure I was okay.
We're on the same page. Money G in Kansas will wrap us up. He said, I could see smaller sports being dropped in order to have more money for your football and basketball teams. Well, again, according to the Department of Education, if you're going to drop sports, it's got to be proportional. They'll have to drop men's and women's sports. And I don't think that's the answer. It doesn't have to be the answer if we have a smart system. I'm not necessarily confident we will have a smart system. We'll go to break. When we get back, Isaac Trotter, CBS Sports 24/7 Sports, talk some Big Ten hoops with us.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most. For all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Hockey Fights Cancer Night with the Lincoln Stars is Saturday, January 18th, as they host the Muskegon Lumberjacks. We'll be honoring all in their brave fight against cancer all evening long, and the Stars will be wearing special uniforms that will be auctioned off after the game. Stick around afterwards on the North Zone stage to bid on those jerseys and lock in your tickets now for Hockey Fights Cancer Night on Saturday, January 18th by heading to LincolnStars.com.
Empower a child today with a Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today. At Fairway Meat Market, your family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now, through January 19th, enjoy USDA Choice Boneless Beef Rump Roast for $4.99 per pound. All-natural boneless pork roast for $1.99 per pound, 5-ounce tuna steak and mahi-mahi fillets $2.99 each, and chicken chili Crispitos, 99 cents a piece. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting book. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, four-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is On the Block on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Austin Norman, Eric Strickland with you. We're headed to our VIP line brought to you by Aloe Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Second-time guest here on the program with 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports. Isaac Trotter. I read his work. Follow him on Twitter. Definitely a must-follow. Isaac, first of all, how are you? Thanks for taking some time for us here, man.
Doing well. It's basketball season, so in the Big Ten, there's basically a game every day. So that makes my life a little bit easier, just because I know I'm going to be watching hoops pretty much daily. But yeah, it's been good. The Big Ten's good, and that's kind of fun. I think it's interesting to see how the Big Ten has kind of passed up the Big 12 and is probably the second best league in college basketball with a bullet at this point.
That's something that I don't know if I would have seen coming with some of the upper level teams in the Big 12. But if you look at the KenPom ratings, there's not many conferences in the last 2 decades better than this year's Big Ten has been, which, again, I wouldn't have seen coming before the year. A lot of questions surrounding Purdue, surrounding Michigan State, 2 teams at the top of the league, a lot of new coaches, a lot of new faces coming into the league. Thought it was going to be a strong league, a deep league, but not necessarily, a whole lot of, upper tier strength at the top of the conference when you look at the national scene. But Isaac, here we are, 15, 17 games into the season, and this is a historically great league. What do you think is contributing to that?
I think it's the pros, right? I think Kasparas Yakushonis for Illinois has certainly developed into a guy that might go number 3 in the draft, and I don't think a lot of people had circled him quite to that level. The Rutgers guys have obviously been good, even though that team hasn't necessarily been great. But Michigan has, someone come out of nowhere, Danny Wolf, who now looks like a first-round pick. Wisconsin's offense has been so much better than expected. Oregon finally gets a Nate Biddle healthy, and suddenly he's really, really good. It's kind of funny. It feels like the Big Ten has a lot of high-level talent now, and some of it was predictable, but other parts of it are guys kind of coming out of nowhere. So I'm kind of with you. As I kind of came into the Big Ten, it's like, hey, is there any Tier 1 national title contenders? No. Is there just a lot of really solid, good teams in the middle? Yes. I think I've changed my tune on it a little bit because a few of these teams have found some legitimate, some of the best players in college basketball play in the Big Ten.
And we'll touch on some of those teams here throughout the segment. The game that we want to talk about, obviously being in Lincoln, is last night's Nebraska and Rutgers game. Let's start with the Nebraska aspects of things. I know when we last talked, you said Nebraska was in kind of that jumbled pack in the middle. Good team, maybe not a great team with some roster questions. What have you seen from Nebraska so far this season that you've liked, and what's maybe some cause for concern?
Let's start with the good. I think Bryce Williams has legitimately asserted himself as one of the best players in the country. Like, I can't find a stat that he stinks at. He's pretty much good at everything right now. He's making threes. He's really good from the mid-range. He's terrific from the free throw line and gets there a ton. His body has changed. He looks awesome. And I think that was something that was pretty predictable. But I do think that we've started to see a little bit of like, man, life without rink mask is a little bit harder, right? Like I feel like the spacing with this group isn't quite as elite as it was last year, just because they don't have a big yet that's really shot it well from three at a high volume. We've seen Berke Bogintinsel have a couple moments, right? Like Andrew Morgan can occasionally step out and hit a three, but they don't really have that five that can truly put pressure on the defense and open things up a little bit. So I don't think the ceiling for this Nebraska group offensively is super high or as high as it was necessarily last year. But when you still have Bryce and you still have Juwan Gary and you still have solid role players and you still have Fred Hoiberg, who is, one of the top 10 or 11 offensive coaches in the sport, depending on who you talk to, you have a pretty high floor offensively. I'm curious, though, how much they'll evolve defensively, because we've starting to see some pretty aggressive trends. Nebraska is big on limiting shots at the rim. Like, no Big Ten team allows fewer percentage of shots at the rim than Nebraska. But those low holds in their defensive coverage, where they're always having someone near the rim, like has really opened up open threes. And Nebraska's giving up a ton of threes. And when teams make threes, Nebraska loses, right? Like, if you look at the common denominator in the 5 losses this year, they just have given up teams are making double-digit threes at like a 40% clip, and they're open. And that's kind of the downside with this group. So I think they're solid. I still don't feel like I've changed my opinion on them all that much. But I wonder how much this defensive strategy is going to work when teams continue to bomb away. Maybe they get lucky and some positive regression comes back their way, but it's tough right now when Purdue is making literally every single jumper, and then Rutgers, the team that really struggles, makes every single jumper too.
This is Eric Strickland. Thanks for joining us again on the block. I just want to add on to what you said, because this is a carryover from last year as well. We saw a lot of teams that did that, but you can even go back to the NCAA game against Texas A&M. Texas A&M was known across the nation to be one of the worst three-point shooting teams collectively as a unit. And yet against Nebraska, with an understanding of the style that they were going to play, the same style that they're playing even right now today, you saw that team come alive, not only with the athleticism, but also with the three-point shooting. So it's a seeming issue that Nebraska's having, no doubt.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird, because it's like I feel like other teams have tried to do a similar strategy as well of limiting shots through them. Like, I like that game plan, but you kind of have to make up for it in other margins as well. Like, you have to be a defense that really turns teams over and an offense that doesn't turn the basketball over. And you really need to win the glass on both ends of the floor just to kind of win that shot volume game. Like, hey, we're going to take 10 more shots per game than you. So yeah, even though you might shoot more threes than us, like, we're going to take more shots and we're going to win it that way, win the math that way. And so far, like, Nebraska's not been that, right? Like, they've had some turnover issues pop up. They aren't a terrific offensive rebounding team. So it's nuanced, right? Like, it's not just like, oh, well, let's just stop teams from shooting threes. Like, part of it is we got to rebound a little bit better. Part of it is we got to cause more turnovers and turn it over less. And those things can start, reaping better rewards.
One more before we move into some other teams in the conference here on Nebraska. Obviously, there's plenty of season left to play. A lot of people here kind of freaking out about postseason chances, but I think it's too early for that. When you look at Nebraska, maybe the blueprint under Fred Hoiberg, certainly the floor seems to be raised, still a decent, a solid team. If there is going to be a next step in this program, is it going to be, do you think, recruiting better athletes, or maybe recruiting more specifically to a scheme and be more like an Iowa or Wisconsin, where you have a blueprint for a player you like, a way you play, and you stick to that come hell or high water?
That's a good point. For me, I look at the roster, I go, I think they need a few more elite guards. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if you can necessarily win in the Big Ten without like that tip of the top of the team, like that has an awesome guard. And Bryce is closer to a wing, right, than a necessarily guard. And I wouldn't say the point guard position this year for Nebraska has been a strength of this group. And you look in the league, it's like, all right, Purdue's winning and they have an elite point guard, and Michigan's winning and Trey Donaldson's been an awesome point guard, and Illinois is winning and they got an elite point guard in Kasparis Yakushonis, and Wisconsin's winning and they got an elite lead guard in John Blackwell, and Oregon's really good because Jackson Shelstad's really good. Like I don't think that's necessarily a big of a surprise. So I like the game plans. I like the high impact on like finding guys that can execute, bigs that can pass, shooters that can make on the move threes. I totally understand that. I think improving that recruiting of lead guards, whether that's in the portal or in the high school ranks, will probably determine just how high the ceiling can be in this league.
You can send the bill for your Nebraska fan therapy session at 1040 O Street if you want. Let's talk about the other team on the other side of this game last night for Rutgers. This is a team that really fascinated me in the preseason, Isaac, because of the 2 5-star freshmen and that just not being the Steve Pikiell identity, right? Only a 10-8 record, but we saw last night the Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey were the two best players on the floor. They weren't scared of the moment on the road in a good venue in the Big Ten. What's your read on Rutgers right now?
I think the narrative around them has been weird. It feels like, well, you can't win with 2 freshmen, and it's Dylan's fault and Ace's fault. And I just disagreed with that. Like, I think Dylan has been unbelievable this year. He hasn't hurt his stock one bit by going to Rutgers. Like, he is as good as any lead guard as I've seen in college basketball. And I've been watching a lot this year, right? Like, he feels like he can get to the paint whenever he wants. Terrific finisher at the rim, shooting it better. And Ace has started to come around a little bit as well, just starting to make more winning plays, understanding where he can get his shots, understanding how impactful he needs to be on the glass. Like yesterday against Nebraska, I thought that was one of his better playmaking games that we've seen so far this year. So it feels like Rutgers has gotten pretty darn good seasons out of Ace and Dylan. And I think it really is more about this supporting cast. That's the only reason that this team hasn't necessarily reached its expectations. They struggled with some of their transfer portal evaluations. They've had a couple guys that they brought in the portal that haven't been in the rotation at times this year. So I'm blaming it more on the other guys, not necessarily the top two, because I think a lot of people would have taken 19-7 from Ace. And, if you told me Dylan Harper is like the second best guard or the number one guard in the country, I would probably not fight you on that too much either.
Elsewhere in the conference, weird loss to Minnesota on the road last night, notwithstanding. Michigan playing such a different style with the two bigs, with the complementary skill sets in Wolf and Golden. You mentioned Trey Donaldson. Are you surprised by what you're seeing from the Wolverines and Dusty May in year one in Ann Arbor?
I love what they're doing. I think they just need to keep sticking with the process. I think the process is good, even if the outcomes have been bad. And you look at some of the 4 losses, it's like they found ways to lose in some of the weirdest ways. Arkansas, they had a backdoor cut that just went out of bounds. Oklahoma, they had a 3-point lead late, and Jeremiah Fierce hits a 4-point play. Last night, Dawson Garcia from the parking lot hits a 40-footer to beat you. Wake Forest, they had opportunities to win that game late. So I think what they're doing is working. They obviously are awesome at the rim offensively, and they're really good at the rim defensively. That just gives you a really high floor. They create really good shots, and when they're not punting the ball out of bounds and turning it over, they get some of the best shots in college basketball. So I like this group in the preseason, but they're certainly better than I thought, and that's just because Danny Wolf is completely brilliant. Outside of the turnovers, some of the plays he makes are just wizardly, and the role players have been good. Trey Donaldson is really good. Vlad Golden looks like a completely different player than what he was early in the season, and if they continue to get better, I think they have as high of a ceiling as anybody in the Big Ten.
On the flip side of things, who's maybe been disappointing to you that you thought was going to have a better year in the Big Ten that's maybe not where you thought they would be at this point?
Yeah, I was all in on UCLA. I picked them to win the league, and I was ready to victory lap that in the middle of December after they beat Oregon and beat Arizona, and even the Gonzaga win late December, it looked really good. But they have really, the wheels have started to fall off a little bit with that crew lately, and maybe it is just some of the downside of the fires out in California. Maybe that's leaning on them a little bit, and you just feel horrible about some of those things. But on the basketball court, their interior play on both ends just hasn't been good enough. They don't get to the rim very much, and they get gouged at the rim defensively. And that's just a really tough combo with a slightly undersized front court. So I think some positive regression is coming for them. They've only shot 20% from threes in the last 4 games, and their opponents are 38%. That's going to come around a little bit. So they're going to win some games, but I thought that team could potentially win the league, and they haven't necessarily played up to those expectations, although Indiana is probably just as big of a disappointment as UCLA.
I will say I do think UCLA is probably in better hands moving forward. I still think Mick Cronin is such a good fit for the Big Ten. I wouldn't be shocked to see UCLA turn it around like you're saying, but let's address the elephant in Assembly Hall. What is the biggest problem with Indiana of the multiple problems they're facing right now?
It just feels like there's not the culture there to play hard. And I think that's where it starts. And that's where it should probably end, too. Like, if you can't get up to play hard and play with fire and block out and chase offensive rebounds and want to do winning plays, like, it's just not going to work. And I haven't loved their game planning either. There's been times where, against Illinois, they came out and played a ton of drop coverage with the big sitting in the middle of the floor. Illinois, like, statistically wise, has absolutely torched that coverage all year long. I just don't understand the plan, right? Like, same thing with Iowa. Like, they're an amazing transition offense, and Indiana, like, just let them run and didn't try to take that away from them at all. So it just feels like the planning and the game planning is not putting the players in position to succeed. And then the players, I mean, it's on them too. Like, I haven't loved Umar Balo's body language this year. I haven't liked Mackenzie Mbako's body language this year. Trey Galloway has struggled. Bryson Tucker and Ken Carlisle have really struggled. Even Miles Rice, a player I really liked in the portal, has struggled this year. And it's just tough. It just doesn't feel like there's any bite from that group. And they don't seem to have a great plan on a nightly basis. And this is kind of the recipe for an Indiana team to kind of underwhelm a little bit.
Couple more quick ones for you before we let you go here, Isaac. Right now, again, 7 games in to the league schedule for most teams. Who would you pick for Big Ten Player of the Year?
I think I have to go Braden Smith just because he's tremendous, but it's a great race, right? Like, I think Kasperas Yakushonis from Illinois is going to be in that mix. Danny Wolf is going to be in that mix. John Tanjay from Wisconsin, or John Blackwell, maybe, if they get in there. Michigan State's kind of weird because they're so deep and they play 10 guys. So I don't know if the counting stats will be good enough for Jay Nakins to get in that mix, even though they could win the league. But I'll ride with Braden. I think he has one of the elite pull-up jumpers in college basketball now. He's completely unguardable. And the stuff he's doing as a distributor is like video game things, like 14 assists against Rutgers, 14 assists against Nebraska, like at a 12-assist game early in the season. Like, it just feels like he's making things look way easier than they're supposed to be.
Coach of the Year, same thing. Who's your pick right now?
Well, Coach of the Year is, you're basically just supposed to pick who, like, has exceeded expectations the most, right? I will go with Dusty May just because I believe coaching now is X's and O's, and that's a huge part of it. But roster building is such a big part of it as well, too. So May's roster building moves in his first year have been terrific. I think Brad Underwood probably deserves a mention in that conversation as well, because they've replaced basically everybody, and their roster is as talented and has shown a ceiling that I think very few teams in the Big Ten can rival. So I think it's a May Underwood conversation right now, although Tom Izzo will probably have something to say about that too.
And we're still a couple months out from the tournament, but if there's one Big Ten team, if you're going to call your shot on a Final Four team in the Big Ten, do you see one right now?
I do. I think Illinois can do that. That they have an unbelievable transition offense now, combined with an outstanding pick and roll offense with Kasperas Yakushonis. And if you look at historically, having an NBA lead guard, it kind of puts you on that inner circle of teams that can win the national championship. Illinois has that because Yakushonis is an absolute pro, and they have the best shooting front court in all of college basketball. Tomislav Ivicic and Ben-Hum Rickhouse are both shooting over 37%. I think they've combined for close to 73s together. So that type of potent offense from that front court is something that very few teams have, and they really guard too. Like, they don't give up threes. They don't give up shots at the rim. They're really analytical with everything they do. They kind of win the math, basically making you to take long twos while they take a boatload of threes. And that's been a really good combination. So I think that Illinois team has a super duper high ceiling. And when Yakushonis has been in the lineup, they just torch teams. Like, that road win at Oregon was insane. And they did the same thing to Indiana too. I think they've got plenty in the tank to win 4 in a row in March Madness.
Once again, our guest on the show, Isaac Trotter with 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports. Isaac, let our audience know where they can find you, social media, where they can find your writing and your work.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Isaac_Trotter, where I will have Bryce Williams updates for you on like the number of shots he's made for the mid-range at an elite clip. And then you can read my stuff on CBSSports.com or 247sports.com.
There you go. Isaac, as always, appreciate your time. Hope we can catch up again soon, man. You're a great follow. I love your insight. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Anytime.
Once again, Isaac joined us on our VIP line, brought to you by Outlet Fiber. That's where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. We'll go to break, wrap up on the block when we get back.
Follow Austin, Strick, and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl, Jordan, with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Let's talk commitment. And what better way to do that than with some shiny, sparkly jewelry? Am I right? Now, I'm not suggesting you have to rush, but if you're considering making a significant move, do your planning. We offer financing and payment plans. Lock down your selection with confidence. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now, through January 19th, enjoy USDA Choice Boneless Beef Rump Roast for $4.99 per pound. All-natural boneless pork roast for $1.99 per pound, 5-ounce tuna steak and mahi-mahi fillets $2.99 each, and chicken chili crispitos, 99 cents a piece. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Hey everyone, Lance here with Black Label. We specialize in creating custom crafted decks, pergolas, patio covers, and more. Plus, our retractable screens, gazebos, and patio enclosures create the ultimate outdoor retreat. With over 50 years of combined experience, we're not just builders, we're creators of unforgettable memories.
Call them today at 402-730-6333 or visit blacklabelbuilt.com for a free consultation.
Let's turn your backyard dreams into reality.
Black Label Built, built to serve, built to last. Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, realignment, or even new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at doorsplusllc.com or give them a call at 402-590-5800.
Make the 2025 deer season your best yet. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo Friday, January 17th through Sunday, January 19th. Check out the hunting seminars, browse the hunting and outdoor exhibits, sign up for the 360 blind giveaway, compete in the Big Buck and Monster Shed contest, try the 3D shoot and more. Get tickets at the door. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 17th through the 19th at the Sandhills Global Event Center. 84th and Havelock in Lincoln. Presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, four-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back one final time for the week here during On the Block. Jay Foreman a little bit delayed. He will be in for hour 2 of Old School, but this is still going to be our crossover segment brought to you by Love Volleyball Omaha. They begin their inaugural season January 24th at Liberty First Credit Union Arena in Ralston. Get your tickets online at lovb.com. You'll be able to see former Huskers Jordan Larson, Justine Wong-Rantes, Maddie Kubik, Lauren Stivrins, and Lexi Rodriguez in action. Once again, we had Lexi Rodriguez and Laura Dykema of Love Volleyball Omaha in studio with us on Tuesday. Appreciate those ladies coming down, spending some time with us. Really fun conversations. If you missed them, check out the podcast. Wherever it is you get your podcast, you can find it there. Stricky, NFL divisional round.
It's here.
Not a great wild card round. A lot of duds.
Yeah.
A lot of big spreads. We were wrong on our upset picks. That did not go so well. But that's not going to stop us. That's not going to stop us. We're trying again. When you look at the 4 games this weekend, who are you feeling, Mr. Underdog?
This is a tough one because of what you just said. I think we're on course to see. I think people would love to see the Ravens take out the Bills. That's a great matchup. So I'm going to say what I'm really excited to watch in the divisional round is that one, that game. That's the one I'm really excited about watching. My surprise of the divisional round matchups is Eagles-Rams. Not that I didn't believe the Eagles was going to be there, but more so the Rams. I was surprised at how well they were able to handle the Vikings. And if they carry that over, I think you can see some of the same type of success against that Eagles matchup.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, Sam Darnold's not as mobile in the pocket as Jalen Hurts, but I still think the matchups there, and it's going to depend definitely on that, how well the offensive line holds up. We know their defense is solid, and what can the Rams scheme up on that? So that's my surprise.
You're not rolling with your boy? You're not rolling with your boy?
I wasn't surprised about them winning.
No.
I wasn't
You were
surprised.
not.
So that wasn't one of those things, but I would be surprised if they win this one. I think we're on course to potentially see Bills Lions.
Ooh. Okay.
That's where I'm going to throw it.
Okay,
So I think
you.
Lions come
I see you.
through. I think I'm going to say the Eagles win, but I'm also going to say that's the one that's the potential upset for me.
Rams over Eagles? I can see it. I can totally see it.
Yeah.
The difference between this Rams team and a lot of other Rams teams is obviously no Aaron Donald. Rams aren't nearly as good up the middle. I think Philly can do some stuff there, but again, you got Stafford, you got Nakua, you got Kupp. I think Kyron Williams is really good. That's going to be a fun matchup.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would take Philly by the 6.5 points they're being favored by right now. I would probably take the Rams to cover in that one. The other one that I'm let's pause 10 seconds for a station ID here on the ticket, and we'll get back into this discussion for a couple minutes.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
The other game that I'm going to be monitoring, Strick, is Houston at Kansas City. Think about how rusty Kansas City is. Had a not really must-win game, but essentially a must-win to clinch the number 1 seed in the AFC game in Week 17. They're able to rest their starters against Denver, have the time off of last week when everyone else is playing, and then a normal week essentially of game prep to play on Saturday. It's been like 20-some days since Kansas City starters have played meaningful football. Rest versus rust. I was really impressed with Houston last week. They've got a really good pass rush. It kind of ate Justin Herbert up at times. First matchup between these two teams, Kansas City wins it. A lot of short passing game. If Houston comes out on fire, they've got to lead at the end of the third quarter for me to feel all right about it, just because Mahomes magic, Chiefs wizardry, and all that. I'm curious to see if the time off was good for the Chiefs because it's an older veteran team. They do get even a guy like Watson back in their defensive secondary. I think that goes a long way for them. But this is also not necessarily the same Chiefs team that's built to come from behind like past teams. They can still do it, but really what Kansas City's doing now isn't letting you build, a 24-point lead like Houston did on them a few years ago in the divisional round and then come back and win that game, 40-something to 20-something. That's not the same Kansas City team. It's not nearly as explosive. Kansas City's just kind of in drag you into a mud fight, hang around, trust that they're going to make one more play or you'll make one less play than them late. I don't think Houston has looked nearly as explosive on offense as I thought they were going to, but I do think this is a talented enough defense that, here's another stat for you, Mahomes hasn't thrown an interception in the divisional round in his career. I can see Houston hanging around, snagging a late interception and winning this game just because the Chiefs are a little bit rusty and no one's ever gone back to back to back. Or the dangerous proposition for the NFL, Strick, is this Chiefs team is rested, focused, game planned, and letting him get the 1 seed is the worst thing the rest of the AFC could have done. I'm curious to see.
So that's your potential as far as the upset?
I'm going to go with that one, yes, because I just like that Houston defense that impressed me last week. I think Jaden Daniels is going to put on a show against the Lions. I just think there's just still too much, even with all the injuries for Detroit. I mean, that is one of the best offenses in NFL history, not just this year. I love your pick of Los Angeles at Philadelphia, and I wouldn't call either Baltimore or Buffalo winning an upset. I mean, Baltimore's favored, so you'd say Buffalo's the underdog, except, it's at home in Buffalo, where they've been really good. So maybe Buffalo should be the favorite. I don't know. This is one of the 50-50est matchups we've seen in the divisional round in a long time.
Yeah.
And I hope it delivers with something in the upper 20s and whoever gets the ball last wins, or mid 30s, see a shootout between the guys that have the best stats of any quarterbacks in the NFL this year in Lamar Jackson and in Josh Allen. So I really, really don't think either team winning that final game of the weekend between Baltimore and Buffalo is an upset. Those are two incredibly talented teams. And that, to me, Strick, is just the pain of the AFC is so similar to some of the pain in the Western Conference in the NBA. There's so many more teams at the top in the AFC than there are in the NFC right now, where any of Kansas City, Baltimore, or Buffalo are, a Super Bowl caliber team. Problem is, two of those teams got to play each other in the divisional round, let alone in the conference championship, where we're most likely to get one of those rematches too.
There it is. That's what's gonna happen. I'm looking forward to it, though. It's gonna be a great weekend. Outside of the fact it's gonna be iceberg and pretty cold, it's beautiful today. Take advantage of it while you can, because it's about to make a shift to the brisk side of the ice box. So, yeah, get ready.
Riley W., y'all are sleeping on Jaden Daniels and Dan
Not
Quinn
at
for
all.
real. We are not sleeping.
Not at all.
It is no disrespect. It is a credit to Detroit.
Yeah, that's it. Not at all. Not sleeping on them at all. I actually like them. I'm
Also-
actually impressed with them, with what they were able to accomplish this year.
This is at Beer Alley too, Stricky from Husker. Haven't won a bet in 2 weeks, so I threw some money on Kansas City. Either I bounce back or Kansas City loses. Either way, I win.
Ooh. Okay, Cubsker.
Also, the head referee crew in 6 games in the Mahomes
Who
era.
is it? That's going to be an
Mahomes is 6-0 with that crew.
Oh,
reffing.
there
So,
it is. That
let's
tells
just be
you
the strict
everything.
conspiracy.
That tells you everything you need to know.
Conspiracy Stricky over there.
Yep. You already see it.
Stricky love a good conspiracy. Stricky love a good conspiracy. That's what he's about. We are about you guys. You are about us. Blockheads, we appreciate you. It's been a great week on the show. Have another great week lined up for you next week. Stricky's going to be out of town, though. Just a couple days of Stricky before he hits the road.
Yeah, Stricky's got to head down to Matthew Strickland's wedding. He's jumping the broom. So shout out to Pops.
Pre-congrats.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun. For Nebco, for Starter Heyman Jewelers, for Aloe Fiber, for our friends at Good Sense who came through with the good sandwiches today, I'm Austin Norman. He's Eric Strickland. We will be back for some post-game after Nebraska and Maryland on Sunday, so catch us around 1 o'clock on these airwaves, and then we'll be back 2 o'clock on Monday for All on the Block, once again brought to you by Nebco. NebcoInc.com. Check them out, and also check out Old School. That comes your way. Myself, Jay Foreman, on the other side.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries.